So Flowmaster's Outlaw Series Cat-Back for the 3.5 EcoBoost should appeal to the owners who want to be heard, as this is going to be one of your most aggressive offerings in the category. In addition to that, it'll be a great choice for truck owners who like to have a few options when it comes to configuration, thanks to the included pipes that Flowmaster includes. And what I mean by this is you can set this thing up as a dual split side exit look or a dual split rear exit look depending on your mood. Now, along with all of that volume, prospective buyers can also look forward to quality 409 grade stainless steel throughout here with the Flowmaster system, all for a price point of just south of $800, putting this in the low to mid price range. As far as your installation is concerned, we're calling this one 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter because depending on your cab and also your bed size, you might encounter the smallest bit of cutting, but we'll have more on that later on. But before we go any further with this video, let's break down the sound you can expect when bolting up the Outlaw to your EcoBoost powered truck. And what I can tell you is, if you really enjoy that turbocharged V6 tone, you're going to be getting plenty of it here with the Outlaw system. So an easy 5 out of 5 on my 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbor scale. Again, one of the most aggressive systems you are going to find for your truck. Now, on the inside of the truck, you're going to be hearing this thing as well, so expect that before bolting up. If you use your truck primarily as the family hauler, this one might get on a few nerves after a few hundred miles. So again, just something else to keep in mind. Now, if you really like that iconic Flowmaster tone, but maybe just with a little less volume, check out the Force 2 instead on the site here. It will deliver exactly that. But moving away from the sound a little bit more here, guys, one thing I really enjoy about the Flowmaster is that they do give you that option when it comes to the installation of how you want this thing to look. Again, go dual split rear exit, dual split side exit. You have the option to do both thanks to the included piping with the Outlaw here. And Flowmaster is one of the only companies currently to give you that option with the aftermarket Cat-Backs. Now, as you might imagine, that extra piping and material might add to the price slightly, and that is the case here as you're looking at right around $800 for the Flowmaster, putting this thing in line with some of the MagnaFlow stuff in addition to some of the Stainless Works offerings as well. But again, you have to keep in mind you're getting the configurable system here in addition to a pretty solid build overall. The Outlaw does include 409 grade stainless steel throughout here with the construction, which I like to consider kind of a middle of the road material. You have the 304 grade stainless on the high side of the price point, and that aluminized steel typically is more of a budget or value material for an aftermarket system, but the 409 is going to land right in the middle, and as such it will offer slightly better corrosion resistance than that aluminized steel, while not being as expensive as that premium 304. So we know we have loud, we know we have that 409 grade stainless with this Flowmaster. What else can you guys expect? Well, 3-inch mandrel bent tubing essentially from tip to tip here, leading into and out of that tiny little Flowmaster Outlaw muffler before exiting out the 4-inch ceramic black tips embossed with that Flowmaster logo. Now, the ceramic is nice to point out because it's not going to chip or fade over the years like a painted tip will, and ultimately will just be more durable overall. Now, when it does come time to start wrenching, I am going to call this one 2 out of 3 wrenches on the overall scale of difficulty because some owners out there, depending on your cab and also your bed size, might have to make a cut, so just have a Sawzall ready to rock and roll. As far as your installation time, well, anywhere from an hour or 2 depending on how fast you like to work and how many beers you have along the way. Now, aside from that cutting tool, you're really not going to need a whole bunch of tools to knock this thing out here, guys. Mainly a socket set. Cordless impact will certainly make things go a little quicker. Penetrating oil will be a biggie. I know these trucks are relatively new, but depending on where you live, you might encounter a rusty bolt or two. And finally, a hanger removal tool will be helpful, but when in doubt, always grab a flathead or maybe a pry bar to get the job done. Now, the first step in any exhaust installation is removal of the factory system. So grab your socket set, grab your penetrating oil, and go ahead and loosen up those clamps, ditch that factory exhaust, and get it out of the way. With the stocker on the ground, now would be a great time to determine if and where you need to cut. So grab those instructions out of the box, measure twice, and cut once if needed before proceeding with the rest of the installation. Once your cuts have been made, or if you don't have to cut, now you can actually start the physical installation of your Outlaw Cat-Back. This includes hanging the piping starting from front to back here. Snug up those included clamps and hangers, but don't tighten them up just yet, as you do want a little bit of play tighten the piping to get everything situated, make sure there's no clearance issues, align your tips perfectly, and then once you are good to go, hammer home those clamps using your cordless wrench, socket set, impact gun, whatever you have, and your installation is complete. Now before we totally wrap up the installation portion here, I do want to quickly mention just how easy it is to switch up that dual split side to dual split rear exit look, simply in a matter of minutes using a basic socket set. In fact, all you need to really do is just remove the clamp closest to the tips themselves, swap out the included pipes that Flowmaster gives you, tighten everything up, and that's pretty much it. You don't have to drop the exhaust to do this, and it is a nice thing to point out. So wrapping things up here, guys, quickly, if you like a lot of volume and you like to have the option to change up the look from time to time, you should definitely check out the Outlaw from Flowmaster right here at AmericanTrucks.com.